Are you ready to stop searching outside yourself and deepen the connection that matters the most?
Welcome to the Sacred Exchange podcast. We are your hosts, John and Catherine Graham.
After years of navigating our own spiritual paths, we have learned that true transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the honest and vulnerable moments when we are willing to journey within with a curious mind and heart.
Every week, we invite you to journey with us as we share our spiritual ahas, our raw truth, and deepen our understanding of the human experience.
This is a space of vulnerability and healing, where souls meet, hearts transform, and love leads the way. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sacred Exchange, where today we're going to be talking about impact.
And more importantly, the impact that we have on individuals, other people.
Yes.
Impact that others have on us, and it's going to be an interesting conversation. So
Yes.
let's get into it.
So I think we came to this topic because we've been talking a lot recently about honoring our own light and honoring our own power in the face of other people that might have had a tendency to bring us down or out of our power in the past without judgment on them. It just is they're in whatever state that they're in. And what I was finding was I was losing a sense of my own light or feeling my energy drain out of me rather than staying in the sovereignty that I was.
Yeah, it's amazing the impact that if we allow it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we allow others to influence us, the impact that it can actually have and what it means if you let it continue to run. And I say this in both the good and bad side of things on that.
Yes, because, and I know that you're probably going to segue into talking about not taking things personally, but before we even get into the idea of not taking things personally, to me, what I was realizing with myself was how easily influenced I was under another person's energy. And there had been an article that you had read about black holes and black holes absorbing light.
Yeah.
Right? And it was when you were expressing this article to me that I was able to see that there's times where I can go into a situation and I can, remind myself beforehand, I am a sovereign being and I am light and I am love and all of this. And 45 minutes later, I'm still listening to a person kind of go into their own black hole kind of energy. And I can feel energy just kind of draining from me.
Getting sucked in.
Yes. And so I wasn't taking it as I was taking it personally.
Yeah.
Right? I'm trying to hold space for them.
Yeah.
But it was being so influenced by that kind of black hole energy or the density of the energy that they were in that I was losing myself.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Yes, I want to talk about how we do take things personal, but I remember a time when I used to just go into go to work or just whatever situation without any predisposition.
Yeah.
Which I still do to a certain degree, but I do have a different sense of, I try to think of, I have this barrier.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my protection of me.
Yeah.
This is the energy I want to put out. And the energy that whatever I'm met with can't get through this.
Yeah.
This can stay as it is, but it's very hard to stay there when you're met with these different situations, right?
Yeah.
And it is easy to get sucked into a number of different situations or opinions or whatever, because it's one of those things. It just is.
Yes, and like in that article that you had been reading, it's like that black hole energy is the most powerful force, right? And they say that scientifically as well. Negative energy is more powerful than positive energy. And so for every negative thought you have, you're supposed to have 100 positive thoughts to counteract that one negative.
Yeah.
So if you're in a situation where someone is in a more negative space than what you are, or denser energy than what you are, it does take that much more power or intention to stay at like whatever state you're trying to stay at.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even in that article, right? We're talking about black hole. I mean, there's some things that are a little bit different, but it was talking about how light cannot even escape a black hole. So when you think about that in energy wise, like if you're met with this black hole energy,
Yeah.
no matter how much of a force field I want to put up, that light of that energy is going to get sucked in.
Yes. Yes.
And you really have to like really concentrate on what the conversation is and protecting yourself from
Yes.
going down that black hole or that rabbit hole or whatever.
Yeah, so it's been a new practice for me to really pay attention to what is my energy in this moment, and is there something I can shift in this moment to try and maintain the energy in which I was able to step into this with, because I didn't realize how, I mean, I've known I'm an empath, right? So
Yeah.
I've felt other people's emotions my entire life. I'm sensitive to the environment and all of that. But I wasn't realizing that I was allowing myself to become a victim in that sense, instead of just being empowered and going, okay, so I can feel what you're feeling, but I don't need to allow that to influence me for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have you ever had or been in a situation or in a conversation where you feel yourself starting to align with their negativity?
Oh, absolutely.
Where you're having a conversation, you come into this situation, this conversation is like, I'm not about this or blah blah blah, whatever, and whatever the conversation is, but you feel yourself start to clone or
Mirror
million
back.
into
Yes.
what they're expressing to you, like, yeah, no, that is wrong, and after you're like, or when you're in that conversation, I don't know if you've experienced where it's like, whoa, what
Yes.
what just happened here?
Yeah, where to me it's like, wow, you just got my ego to come out and like just completely blindside me, and now I've stepped into the same energy that you're in, but I don't even believe this anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is amazing how quick, and I know we've talked before about it's 1/10,000th of a second that ego can come in and take over. But I have noticed a pattern with different people that I'm like, I know this person is able to like easily bring out this
Trigger.
ego kind of
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of me, and that's where I try to be even that much more mindful going into these situations, to go, I know this is the energy that they're going to get me into, right? And I have to remember my own sovereignty. And
Yeah.
again, easier said than done at times, but
Yeah, and even when you're in these situations and you meet these people in a different energetic way, they still or have the potential to go back to that.
yeah.
I've been in that where it's like, oh, you feel like you're getting sucked into this.
Yes, and I do question at times, because I can see it with different relationships throughout my life, where it's like I become this kind of character that I've always been in that situation, or that we first connected when I was
Yeah.
in this kind of character. And so it almost feels like there's a trauma bond or a wound bond
Yeah.
that's happening. And if I don't engage with that trauma bond, then it's like the connection isn't happening. So I think the part of me that is wanting to connect is also sometimes a part of me that undermines me and goes, this is the only way we know how to connect. Because when I think of these situations where I'm like, oh yeah, my ego just totally came out there and joined them in their drama fest or whatever.
Yeah.
It's always, it seems to be about finding that connection, because otherwise if I'm sitting there going, I don't believe you're the victim here, I don't believe that this situation is true the way that you're saying it to me or whatnot, there's no connection that can happen in that.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. And that kind of goes into the point about not taking things personal, right? Which it does remove, it is more peaceful,
Yes.
but it does remove those connections,
It
because
absolutely does.
now you're not bound by this trauma or bound by this opinion of whatever this is.
Yeah, all these wounded parts no longer have a platform
Yeah.
in which they get to go out and play. And that can be hard, and it can also feel boring. Like, we've had conversations with each other about, not that we're bored. It's like, it's peaceful. That's actually what it is peace. But we've been so used to the drama and the taking things personally and coming home from work or from a situation being all jacked up on this ego juice going, can you believe this happened or that happened or whatever? And when you're not taking things personally, it's like, well, this thing happened and I've got this reasoning behind me as to why it happened. And perhaps I noticed myself starting to take it personally and then I stepped back from it. And that's my boring story for you, is this thing happened and nothing really, it didn't mean anything, you know?
Where, in the past it would be, they did this to me, or
they said this and I felt like this, and they didn't even know that I was feeling like this, and they don't care about me. And then you've got like an entire storyline that you can go down.
Yeah.
So yeah, without it does feel boring at first, and I've been having to teach my mind, no, this is peace.
Yeah.
Right. This is peace. This is how peace is supposed to feel.
Yeah, and you'll, again, it's a practice, right? I know I've reiterated this a number of times this week and probably last week, but it's not like you always get it perfect. Mm-mm. It is, okay, in this situation, I cannot take it personal. But there's times you're going to take things personal.
Yeah.
But you can also go back and reflect on that. Oh, I was susceptible to whatever this was.
Yeah.
And I took this personal. It's something that I can work on. It's something that I can, look at and go, okay, next time I'm going to pay more attention to this situation or this person or whatever the case may be.
Well, and I think understanding too, who do you tend to have that relationship with, where they impact you in such a way that you do take it personally every single time, right? Like, for a lot of people, it tends to be in the child-parent relationship, where, the parent is always going to be the parent, the child is always going to be the child, and they both play out these dynamics in the same way over and over again, even though the parent's no longer dealing with a 5-year-old, they're dealing with a 35-year-old woman. Do you know what I mean? But they're still talking to that 35-year-old woman as though the 35-year-old hasn't grown up at all, right? And so we can lose that kind of sense of self, I think, in the face of other people if we're not aware of where does that pattern start for me.
Yeah, and you brought up another good point that I think does affect the impact is, we do put people, we hold them in a state, right? As you're this and you're always going to be this.
Yeah.
And again, I know we've talked about this before, but when you're meeting that person thinking they're the same way and they're not, there's difference there.
Absolutely.
And we shouldn't just have this expectation that people are always going to be the same, right? Meet people where they are at that point in time.
Yeah.
Not who they were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Who are they right now?
Yeah. Which is really an invitation to know someone on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Right? And even to know yourself on a deeper level. Because last year I had the gift of being able to meet up with 2 girlfriends from high school. Right? And it's interesting because you can go 20 years of time without seeing people and then step back into those same kind of relationships. But of course, there's been this 20-year lifespan that's happened in between this time period. And it was interesting to witness, where do we fall into those same patterns? What parts of them are still the same now? What parts of them can I see have grown? What parts do they see of me that have grown? Do they try and pull me back into this old version of me? Am I trying to pull them back into this old version of me? But beyond high school friendships, it's every single friendship, even between you and I, we see each other every day. Are we willing to see each other as a brand new person every day?
Yes.
Am I willing to set down what you did yesterday so I can meet you today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And good, just to go back to the impact of things, it's when you think about everything that we just said and meeting people where they're at, and you start to question, or I do anyways, is how am I impacting others? And So this is you on day 1, this is you day 30. What is the impact that I've had over that span of time, right?
Yeah.
And depending on your relationship with the person or whatever, I think you're going to see big differences depending on what that is.
Yeah.
But
Well, and the interesting thing is too, is like, I understand now that nobody has the power to make me feel a certain way,
right.
right? And yet, when I'm in the presence of certain people, sometimes the same emotions get activated over and over. And when you talk about impacting people, I don't know exactly for you, but I can see in my own life, there's been certain people that have had such a negative impact on my life to the point where I would like get braced up before having an interaction with them, not knowing what is this interaction going to look like. And then there's been other people that I get so stoked to be able to see, because it's like every time I'm with this person, I always feel amazing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so as much as we go, people don't have the ability to make us feel anything, and I agree with that, right? But then you have to get curious, why do I always feel this way when I'm with this person?
Yeah. What is it that this person's triggering me, right?
Yeah, and what are they reflecting back to me that I'm uncomfortable with seeing? Because I would be uncomfortable with whatever it is they're reflecting.
Yeah, and especially if there's if you're feeling some negative vibes or whatever, you really want to question, what is it? You know?
Yeah.
What is it about this person or this situation that I'm triggered by?
Yes.
What is it that I need to work on in this situation to alleviate this kind of distortion?
Yeah, yeah, because it always does come back to us. And
Yeah.
I know a few years ago, I was very impacted by an individual in our lives who I just felt very negative every time the person was around. And it was over a span of years that it was like the negativity just seemed to build and build and build and build. And it wasn't until I started my healing journey that wasn't focused on this person at all, but actually met all of the parts of me that were exactly like that person, right? But it was like those parts when I was a kid, they were unlovable.
Yeah.
Right? And no one else could love them. So then I couldn't love them either. So when this person was then in my life, I'm going, I can't love you because this is an unlovable part of me, right? And then I had to learn how to love that part of me, which then made me naturally just start to have love for this other person.
And how often do we do that where it's like, well, that it's outside of me, right?
Yeah.
It's outside of, that's their problem. But really
they need to fix this.
We, being a collective, it is our problem, and it's usually something like you're just the example you gave. It's something for you.
Yeah.
We just don't see how it's for us.
And what I didn't realize I was doing at the time too, because I was unwilling to heal myself. I was looking at this person going, they're the ones who need to fix this. They need to change this. So I wasn't looking at myself. I also wasn't aware of the impact I was having on what their situation was and how they were showing up, because every time I was looking at them, I was going, they're negative, they're bad, they need to do better, whatever, which creates this umbrella or a prison, really, that says the only way I'm willing to see you is as this bad person in my life. So how could I ever expect them to show up in any other way other than the way that I've painted them to be?
Yeah.
You know, so it was a lot of undoing.
It's almost like it's another trauma bond, right? But just in a different sense. Where before we were talking about trauma bonding, it's more like you've had a similar trauma.
Yeah.
And you're on the same team. Where this is almost like there's the same traumas, but one's not willing to see that those traumas exist within them.
Not willing to see it, also not willing to love it.
Right.
Right? Going, this part, absolutely not. I can't love this part.
Yeah.
So, which then also says to that person, I can't love you.
Yeah.
Right? And puts these expectations on this person of, you need to fulfill this in me, like do better so I can feel better about myself because I don't want to look at this.
Yeah.
Right? And it's such a mind fuck.
Yeah.
It really is. And I get it. It's easier to blame everybody else.
Well, I mean, there's less work, right? I mean, if you take less blame and you put it onto somebody else, now I don't have to do anything with that. Now that's not my problem. It's somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which, sure, you can do that. But I mean, it's going to come back to you at some point.
Yeah. You know, I had a big kind of shift, I would say probably in 2023-ish, where for the longest time, I felt like I was doing a lot of generational healing for my family line, right? But I was taking that as being like, "Oh, look at me, I have to heal all of this stuff because no one else before me would ever heal it, and I'll just do it." And like, there was a lot of like teenage angst is what I would call it about it. And like, you know, that kind of savior complex of like, I have to do it all. And somewhere over the past couple of years, it started to shift into, wow, I have the opportunity to heal this. This is a gift that I get to give. And whatever I've got coming up or whatever I'm seeing happening around me, I can actually heal it. Not because, oh, poor me, but wow, I've got the tools. I can absolutely do this. They don't want to, that's fine. I will heal it enough so that I'm at peace, so I can complain about being bored, that life isn't as dramatic as what it used to be. But it to me, it was so empowering to take that ownership away from everyone else and go, they need to heal this, and just go, I'm going to keep healing this. Whatever this is, if I see it in them, I'm going to heal it in myself.
It's funny because the one part that you just brought up, and maybe this is a bigger conversation for another show, but I was reading this morning about the spiritual ego, right? Where here now when we're talking about how your ego, now you're just talking about your spiritual ego, how you have to be the savior, you have to be the one, you're the chosen one, da 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 da.
Yeah.
Now when you have both of those at play, it is an interesting dynamic, right? And again, I don't want to. I think we could probably talk about that.
Oh, I'm okay with talking about that now because I think the spiritual ego is such an unspoken about topic that a lot of people get caught up in, and I was caught up in it too, right? It's like going, look at how special I am. I heal this, and I do this, and I have these spiritual gifts and whatnot. So now I'm better than everybody else, and I'm going to attack everyone who is not as good as I am. Right? And it's a really fucked up way to call yourself a healer. Like, it absolutely is. And yeah, it is kind of a trigger point for me because A, I did it.
Yeah.
Right? And B, I see it still happening a lot with people who are claiming that they're, you know, these spiritual healers and stuff, which they can be, but you can't be a spiritual healer who is also attacking everybody who's not exactly in alignment with you.
I agree.
Right? Like, there is a unity consciousness that needs to be brought into spirituality, and the spiritual ego will always make you the kind of better than everybody else.
Yeah, and that's one thing I never want.
Yeah.
Like, I will say that is I try, not that I try to downplay myself, but I just want to be a good person.
Yeah.
I don't want to be known for, oh, you're this spiritual person, or I just want to be a person that understands and continues to understand and continues wanting to be better.
Yeah.
And continue that spiritual journey as well, but not be like, oh, I'm up here.
Yeah.
And everybody else needs to conform. Yeah.
I think one of the most powerful statements when I went to the I Can Do It conference in Toronto, I think back in 2010, it was my first time seeing Wayne Dyer. And he's up there on stage and he's giving his big speech and whatnot. And someone had asked him a question, and it was like really trying to get his advice for what was happening in their lives and whatnot. And he said, I want you to spell guru. And she was like, Guru? And he was like, yeah. I don't need to be your guru. You are your own guru. And if you spelled guru, Guru, you have all of the answers that you need, right? Mm-hmm. We don't need to rely on anyone else for the answers. We just need to go within. And to me, I was like, no, you are a guru. Like, you're teaching me so much. But he could hold that without expecting to be the one that everybody had to go to for those answers, right? Like and I think that's what a true spiritual leader is someone that has access to these answers, but is always going to lead you to find those answers within yourself and believe in you so that you can find those answers within yourself.
Yeah, and that's what I would love to emulate, or I try to, is like, I would rather people, you know, go back to that old saying, you know, teach a man to fish or you give a man a fish. Mm-hmm. I'm very much that same way, where it's like, I would rather help people find their solution versus then give them the answer to the problem.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, and go through the process. Like, it's not just, you know, point them in the right direction. Walk through the process with them without telling them that you're going through the process. If you know what I'm saying. Like, I'd rather, okay, how can we get to the solution to this problem? Well, maybe it's this and maybe it's that. I would hint around on ideas like that, trying to, you know, get them to see a broader picture of whatever that situation is.
Yeah. And actually, one of your superpowers, if I can call it a superpower, to me, has been your belief in people when they don't necessarily have that belief in themselves. It's like you have this tendency of just putting this absolute belief into someone. And I remember way back in the day when I was first starting on this spiritual journey and I was working on a book and everything, and I had all these fears and everything that were coming up around it. And you were like so firm and steady and telling me, I just believe in you, right? I have no reason that supports why I believe in you or why I believe that you can do this, but I do believe in you. And I think that impact for people, when you've got someone who's walking beside you going, I believe in you, right? And as they go through all these ups and downs and all these growth challenges and stuff, but I believe in you, that in itself is enough for anybody to step into their greatness, right? And I mean, you can see this like throughout. There's so many celebrities that have come out about a teacher who believed in them, or a parent who believed in them, a neighbor who believed in them, or whatever. And they all say, I would not be who I am today if this person hadn't believed in me. And so as we're talking about making an impact on people, how simple is it to just simply believe in someone, right? They're like, I have a dream. I want to make music one day. I believe in you. I believe you can do this, right? And then it's like, oh, it's not just my vision. Now there's two of us holding this vision. So.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, it's one of those things that you're right. It's easy to say it, and it's another thing to like embody it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, anybody give you lip service, say, I believe in you.
Yeah. But it's the standing beside you while you're nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And you're working towards
that's
something.
Where you say it's a superpower. It's more of, I'm trying to get something out of this as well, right? So yes, my belief in you or in whoever, but I'm also trying to walk with you on this path to get to this answer. Yeah. So my belief is part of that structure of trying to, like,
that's the divine masculine coming through, really. Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about this, was what I've been doing more and more is looking at my impact on other people. Yeah. Like we both have, but I'm just saying specifically myself, it's looking back and going, you know, I'm sure I can't change the past. I know I've impacted people in negative light and in positive light, whatever. But now I'm more intentional with my conversations about what that impact looks like. Yeah. Down the road or whatever. So really not judging every conversation or every moment, but looking at it going, is this in our highest to have this conversation or to conversate this way or whatever.
Yeah, and I don't see it as a judgment. I think you're bringing awareness to it, right? As you reflect on the conversations, it's just being aware of what was my impact. You know, did I help that person leave this conversation feeling more, assured of themselves or feeling more stable with themselves? I've even noticed a lot of times, and I think it's only because I've done a lot of compassion key at this point, so it's come more naturally. But when I'm working with clients and they're in resistance with how they're feeling, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, you have every right to feel this way. Like, allow yourself to feel it. And as soon as you give yourself that permission to just feel it, it's like all the walls go down and you can see them softening, and then they truly feel it, and then it's like, oh, now it's dissolved, where they were in kind of this resistance to allowing themselves to feel it. And I feel like that's been more of my impact recently, is just giving people permission to just feel what they're feeling, or to be what they are. Not that they need my permission, but if I can be that permission, then I will be.
Yeah, I think that is, I think that's great. I think that's what, and goes back to what we were talking about just a minute ago, right? With meeting people where they're at, and meeting, you're allowing, it's not wanting to interrupt the cycle.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same as what I was saying, is you want to lead them to this thing and feel it.
Yeah.
And feel through the process and soften that.
Yeah.
But you want them to do it, not...
Well, because we can't do it for them, you know? Like, going back to being an empath and stuff, I often say to people, because as empaths, we're like, no, I feel it for them and whatnot. And we act as though this is a gift that we're doing for another person. But I always kind of come back to the example that if you had to pee right now, and me as an empath was like, I can pee for you, and I ran out to the bathroom and left you sitting here to entertain everybody, you're still going to have to pee. You're the one with a full bladder. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how often I pee for you, you're the one who needs to use the toilet. Yeah. You know, and that's so great. It's the same with emotions. The person who's going through the experience is the one who actually needs to feel it, right? And us taking it from them, it's not even taking, it's like it multiplies. Now you're feeling sad, I want to feel sad for you because I'm an empath. Let me take on the sadness, and now I've just doubled the sadness in the room. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, what is the point?
Yeah, because now it's almost giving you permission. You don't have to feel it. I'll feel it. And I know in our dynamic at the beginning of our relationship, that was something that we experienced a lot, where I was feeling everything that you weren't willing to express.
Right.
And that's exhausting.
Yeah.
And it's also, talking about meeting people where they're at, it was a totally different dynamic for me to be the one to go within myself to feel that. Because here's the other part too. If I felt your emotions, I didn't have to feel my own. Right? Yeah. It was a good way for me to protect myself and go, I'm just feeling John's sadness. I'm not feeling my own. So and it was actually when we were in California together at the Kyle Cease retreat, that I learned to close my door and lock it and go within and start feeling stuff. And suddenly you're like, I am the expression of life. Blah, 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 blah. And you're talking so much. And for the first time I was going, oh my God, will you stop talking so I can hear what's going on inside of me? You know, and it's no offense to you or anything, but it was such an interesting kind of flip from what we had experienced prior to that. Yeah. Yeah. So the people need to feel what the people need to feel. Yeah.
I mean, the journey is the journey. I mean, as collective as we are, we all have a different experience that we need to experience.
Yes.
And the way you experience something versus what I experience something, sure, the context could be very similar, but the actual journey of whatever that is going to be very, very different.
Yeah.
You know, we can both have sandwiches, but our experience to eating that sandwich is going to be very, very different.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to hijack somebody from having their experience.
Yeah.
The way they need to have that experience. Hence why looking at how we impact people on a daily basis and through conversation, I think is important, because it's like, okay, I know how I want to impact it, but is that...
Yeah, is my intention meaning what I'm actually bringing out there? Which also to me is very interesting, because we can have that intention of this is how I want to impact people, but depending on where they're at, they might never be able to receive the impact that I'm trying to give.
Right, timing, and like there's a lot of things that are involved in that, right?
Yeah.
And even going back to the whole don't take it personal, that can be very
It's challenging to not take that personally when they're not taking the impact that you
Well,
want
when you
them to
say
take
that,
it from
just
them.
saying that to somebody, don't take it personal. You can feel that ego piece. Whoa,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Well, it's the same as,
don't.
hey,
What are you talking about?
so no offense, but,
Yeah,
right? And it's like, oh no, I'm offended now. What are
Yeah.
you going to say next?
you've triggered that ego response of
Yeah.
time for me to get my back up. But I think what we're talking about more so is that, you know, not taking things personal is it's not an exact attack on you or a compliment to you. It is just a thing that has happened,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Well, and just to kind of bring it as a couple of examples so people kind of understand what we're talking about. So when I was younger, you know this, I love Hanson's Mbop.
Yes,
right?
you do.
I fucking love that song. I have loved it since I was in grade 8, but nobody liked that song, right? Like I was supposed to be listening to Nirvana. I was listening to Hanson's Mbop, and I thought this is the most amazing song. Still love the message of it, right? Plant a seed,
It is
plant a
quite
flower,
amazing
plant a rose.
when the song comes on, because I'm not a big fan. But when the song comes on, or you put the song on, whatever, and you're like,
I get so
like
into it.
trying to get
Yeah.
me excited about it.
But it's one of my guilty pleasures, right?
Right, yeah,
Why
yeah.
is it a guilty pleasure? Because I'm not supposed to like that. I wasn't supposed to like it back then, but I did. And it became guilty because it's when I was in grade 8, people are like, ugh, that song's for losers. Who would ever listen to that? Look at these guys. They look ridiculous, blah, 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 blah. Like fill in all of the blanks. And you know, even 20 years later or whatever, I show you, like, I love this song.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Right? And so at any point in time, I could have taken it personally. And I mean, there were periods of time where it's like, I listen to this while I'm by myself and I jam out in the vehicle while I'm by myself so no one knows how much I love this. There, I'm allowing myself to take other people's musical taste as a personal attack on myself. Right? Instead of just embodying the fact, you know what, I fucking love this song. And I'm going to listen to it as loud as I want. And everybody can look at me weird, whatever. And so that's where it's not taking it personally.
Yeah.
Right? It's your musical taste is your musical taste. And I think, yeah, that's what I mean by not taking it personally because I think we all have our guilty pleasures, you know?
Oh, I agree. And another one that's come up, I think, is, you know, in regards to communication, because we've talked about this, and especially around birthdays or special events or whatever, when people are not celebrated the way they have an expectation that they should be celebrated or communicated, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And some people will be like, well, that person didn't do this for me. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Or, you know, this person didn't call me on my birthday. Yeah, I'm writing them off.
Yeah.
Okay. When we say don't take it personal, the person yes, we are all special and not special in the same right.
Yeah.
But life is lifing for everybody.
Yeah.
And when we say, you know, don't take it personal, it is that person didn't call you. Sure, maybe it's because they didn't want to call you, they don't like you, sure. But maybe it's not.
Yeah.
You're making up a story, making it personal,
Yeah.
that this is all of these reasons when you have no idea what the situation is.
Yeah.
The person may have done their best to celebrate you in the way they thought was the best way. It's not an attack on you because it didn't meet your expectations. Don't take that stuff personal.
Yeah.
They're doing what they thought was right. Your expectation makes it personal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And I'm just going to speak to an unpopular opinion that I have around this is the amount of times that people nowadays are just cutting people off because other people do not meet their expectations. Like we talk about cancel culture.
Not cancer culture.
Yes, but it is like a cancer
Yeah, it is.
throughout our society
Yeah.
of cancel culture. This person did not act the way that I expected them to act within this role, right?
Yeah.
Put it on a celebrity, put it on a friend, put it on a family member, and then what do? We cut them out,
Yeah.
right? And we go, if you want to be a part of my life, this is how you need to show up, or this is what you need to do, or whatever. And it is so far removed from what our humanity actually is about. Like, there's no room for mistakes.
Well, it is the reverse of what we actually need to be doing, right?
Yeah.
We need to stop this cutting people off and start bringing people together.
Yeah.
Like, that is, it's not going to get us anywhere by creating this division and cutting things up and cutting people off. It's just going to propagate things farther and farther.
And what I find so sad is, like, what I've been noticing or seeing as a pattern is there's people like, oh, they didn't reach out to me. I've had to reach out to them the last 3 times, and so I'm done. If they're not going to reach out to me, I refuse to put in this energy into the relationship. And then sometimes later they find out this person, you know, their husband was diagnosed with cancer and they've been this full-time caregiver, or, you know, their kids going through some really tough times or whatever. And it's like, we don't even ask questions anymore.
No.
We just cut people out and we go, you haven't met me where I think I need to be met. And we're expecting others to fill this void within us, because obviously if we're looking for connection, we've got a void within ourselves that's going, I need it from them, and it needs to look like this.
Yeah.
And it's so sad. Like, it does break my heart. I remember one of my celebrities that I loved few years ago when stuff came out about them, and everyone was like, cancel, and hate on and burn the CDs and burn all the paraphernalia and all of this other sort of stuff. And I understood the allegations and stuff that were happening, but all I could remember was like, this is a human being.
Yeah. Right?
And we seem to forget that part about people. Like, this is just an innocent human being. Yeah. Why can't we see their innocence? There's an African tribe that I've read about. I haven't gone to visit them or anything, but it's an African tribe, and every time a new soul is born into the tribe, the elders will gather together and they create a soul song for this baby. And then as the child starts to grow and becomes an adult and stuff, anytime that they make a mistake or they start to venture off of what their purpose is, the whole tribe will gather around them and sing them their soul song so that they can remember who they are.
Wow.
And the idea of doing that for people when they have a fall from grace, instead of attacking and punishing and canceling and cutting out and all of this, that to me is the way we should be doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Can we continue to see someone's divinity even when they're making mistakes? Because like I said in that example of me dealing with a negative person, I couldn't see their divinity anymore. I was just like, evil, this is wrong, this is bad, there's demons, like, ridiculous. I couldn't see that divinity.
So, yeah, when it comes to, I think we need to separate some things, right? Like, when it comes to artists, whatever, like, I'll use a very specific one, Michael Jackson.
Yes.
I always appreciated Michael Jackson for his talent. Like, it wasn't until many years later in my life that I realized his life and his struggles and all these things and whatnot, and a lot of, you know, the whole story and the negatives that came out of his story and whatnot. But I always appreciated his music.
Yeah.
And the character is the character. We can separate the two. You can appreciate somebody for this talent.
Yeah.
I don't, the other stuff, whatever, I don't know. I don't really care to know. Mm-hmm. But I appreciate you for this.
Yeah. And so I'm going to take it a little bit deeper, because for me, what I try and do now, and again, it's a practice, is separating someone's actions from their divinity.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
To go, these illusions that you're caught up in, these actions that you're doing, you are still a divine being, irregardless. You know, and I'm also a divine being, irregardless of all of the human mistakes that I've made.
And it's a very interesting thing to witness, right? When you're in that, because you can see the divinity in it, but you're not in full support of their actions or what they're doing, but you're like, I can see you've got that piece,
yeah,
but it's just distorted. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
sometimes
recognizing those, right?
this is at times I do struggle with actually seeing the divinity, right? But instead of going, well, then there's absolutely no divinity there, then I'm going to God and I'm going, help me to see the divinity that's here, because I'm not seeing it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is a challenge. It is a challenge to separate some of these things, the music from the artist, the actor from uh, the act.
Yeah. The show or the art, yeah.
Yeah, the actions from the divinity. And I think it's so interesting for us as humans, because we're so easily influenced to the idea to attack and judge and punish others.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we enjoy doing that. We love finding someone that we can all point our fingers at. And we talk about how the witch trials were such this awful thing in history that never should have happened.
It's a very egoic society, right? It always has been. We've always been driven by this, I'm bigger, better, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So
it supports that. And you take a look around, not just social media, not just TV shows, society supports that.
Yes. And it's so interesting, because it's the same society that goes, witch trials never should have happened and women shouldn't have been burnt just because someone claimed they were a witch, are the exact same society that goes, let's attack this person and take them down because of this thing that they've done.
We've just renamed it, right?
Yes, we've renamed it and said that it's okay now, which means back then they renamed whatever attack they had done before and said it's okay now because this is the thing that's now the popular evil that we're trying to fight against. And it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite movies is Cloud Atlas, and in that movie it basically goes through like 7 different past lives with 7 of the same characters replaying or playing different roles with each other and having very similar energetic dynamics, but you get to see the soul's evolution. It's amazing. But plugging Cloud Atlas, but there's one scene where the woman is sitting down to read letters that were actually letters from her soul partner from a previous lifetime. And she's reading these letters, and this kid comes through her window. He's a neighbor kid. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm just reading old letters. And he's like, why? And she said, I just keep trying to understand why we keep making the same mistakes time and time again. And that goes through my mind so often when I'm watching things kind of play out in the world, is why do we keep doing this? Why do we keep wanting to attack everybody else? Why do we keep separating the actions from the divinity,
Yeah.
And I don't have an answer for that, but
it does,
I have a question.
It does send shivers down, because I agree. And I think it is, there's the ego piece. I think there's that division. I think there's power pieces to this. If we could ever just get to a space of going, okay, if we could all agree that we are this collective and everything we do, good, bad, and different, is for our better collective.
Yeah.
And moved as a team, like we all preach this, teamwork makes the dream work. Then why can't we all get on the together. Same page?
Well, and I think it's because we get so caught up on what that page is supposed to be. Right? Yes.
It just totally removes it that we're not on the same page. If we're arguing about what the page looks like.
Yes. But I mean, it goes back to like Animal Farm, right? Where like in Animal Farm, all of the animals are equal, but now pigs are more equal than all other animals.
Yeah.
Right? And so as much as we try and break down and break away from the patriarchal systems and like having someone be the leader and we're all just unity and whatnot, we always end up kind of going back into the same idea that someone needs to lead us, right? Instead of balancing out what are all of our strengths, what are all of our gifts, how can we bring this all together and move toward that. So then I just gotta bring it back to myself.
Again, that's why
Yeah.
It's a practice, it's a journey.
Yeah.
And yes, you're right. The only thing we can do is not focus on the macro, is focus on the micro, and just continue to have these conversations, share our conversations with other people.
And I think just bringing it back to impact and influence, when we work on the micro within ourselves, a lot of times we underestimate the influence
Oh, yeah.
and the impact that is actually having in the entirety of the world, right?
And just remember, we did a little science experiment on this at one point in time.
Yeah, we
right?
did,
Where
actually.
We were looking at the impact, like our lives, and
Every
how we
time-
can start changing things within us,
Yeah.
and how that would affect a number of different people. And we
Yeah.
did see specific changes, and it wasn't like we announced that you and I were the only ones that know this.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
we were able to observe there was changes in those individuals as well.
Absolutely, and just small shifts, right? But yeah, this is the thing: is what we change within ourselves, it just ripples out to the people around us. And I think the people that might be more willing to be influenced by us are going to feel more of that kind of impact or kind of that change. But also people that we're not even connected to. You know, you talk about the butterfly effect, where a butterfly flaps its wings here in Ontario, Canada, and someone over in Australia is having an effect from that. And in Access Bars training, we're taught that for every limited belief, thought, or judgment that we release, we open the door for 150,000 other people to release it. I don't know what the science is behind that.
It makes sense, though, right? Like,
Yeah, not that it's eliminated completely, but at least opens that door.
Yep.
So now it can be let
if
go.
I've released this, you have the opportunity to release this,
Yes.
which means you do, which means that person
Yes,
does.
because to me it's like it's showing proof, right? Like you can look at like the Wright brothers making the first airplane before no one else could fly, right? And what are they doing? They're showing other people this is possible,
Yeah.
right? They
Yeah.
released all limiting beliefs that they might have held about a flying object, which then allowed other people to go, oh, maybe we can fly. And here we are, I don't know, 100 years later, I think, a little bit more than that. And now we've got airplanes constantly, right?
Yeah.
Without any doubt that a flying object can actually happen,
Yeah.
right? But someone needed to lead the way.
Someone needed to believe.
Yes. So, yeah, it's...
Yeah, as small as our impact is, and I think that's kind of what we're saying is, we think like our impact may be so small, but it is so large in the same
Yeah.
right? And I think what we've been trying to do is just reflect on what our impact is or has been, but more so now. We know what we've done. We know where our lives that we've lived, but it's trying to have that foresight of when I have this conversation, what will this impact look like in the future for this relationship or for this person or...
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that kind of goes into like that ancestral theme, right? Like I think of my great grandfather George, who read a book that impacted him so much that he packed up all of his stuff in Germany, traveled for a bit, hopped on a ship as a stowaway to come over to Canada to escape war and stuff that was happening in Germany back in the 1800s. So he was impacted by a book, impacted by this war, to come to Canada to start life here, and I continue to do his work now based on what his impact was on me, but he didn't know that I existed or even that his children existed at the time, right? And so it's like crazy to think that every small decision we're making now, or to him it might have felt like a small decision to pick up a book. You know what I mean? And that book,
this is so insignificant, but then leads to...
It leads to a family living in a totally different country than the one that he was raised in, So, yeah.
Yeah, and I would have to agree and give my own take. Like when we did my little history of my family history and dug into some of this thing, you can see without me knowing these things where those pieces are in me.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The one family member that was a baker, or one that did this, and it was like I had a pull to do these things.
Yeah, you were so influenced without knowing
with no
why.
idea.
Yeah. Well, that's why I laugh when I look at my own ancestral history, especially on my dad's side. Like, it is full of ministers and spiritual leaders who would go and build their own churches because they no longer believed in the religious doctrine that was being handed to them in the church. And it's what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't built a church yet, But I do question a lot of religious and spiritual practices.
Yeah.
And I do feel like I am a thought leader, I guess, when it comes to bringing in new information and stuff. But it's like, it's been so influenced by these people that I never had a chance to meet. But they were already doing the groundwork for me.
And I'm very much in alignment with that, where it's like, I think all religions, to a certain degree, are great.
Yeah.
They're all very interesting. They all have their own little pieces. They all have these all things that are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Do I agree with all of them? No. Do I think they're all right? No.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great thing to have that belief. And I think that's the key, is believe in something. And if we could bring all of this together,
Yeah.
and go, okay, this is the religion, right? This is the world religion, where everybody is welcome and everybody's thoughts and ideas are welcome within this.
Yeah.
And this is how it looks.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Imagine there's no countries.
We'll have a church. You watch.
Yeah, I know the idea has been brought up to us before, so it's funny that that's where the conversation went today, but yeah.
It will be our impact.
Yeah. I was literally just thinking the exact same thing. That's funny. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile for everybody to take a moment and think about what their impact is.
Yeah.
What it has been, yes, we can't change what has happened. I mean, you can going forward, because you can look at how your impact has been and choose what you want it to be.
Yeah.
But going into conversations, just think about that. Just take 2 seconds and go, what is my impact going to be here in this situation right now?
And I also want to offer, so yeah, we can't go back and we can't change the past, right? And yet, what I enjoy doing, and perhaps other people might enjoy doing it too, is talking to our kids about the impact that we've had, and sometimes apologizing for what that impact has been, taking full accountability for what that impact has been, not denying that the past happened, and not denying their pain, because there's a few points I want to make here. There's a woman that I've been watching on TikTok. She's a mother, one generation up from us, like our parents' age. And her daughter and her will sit down, and the daughter will be like, remember this one time when I came to you, the latest example, the latest video I seen, she had been being bullied on the school bus, grade 8. And she was texting her mom, talking to her mom about like these kids being a bully to her on the bus. And her mom came out of the house, got on the bus, screamed at the bus driver and told him that he was a POS because he hadn't protected her kid from this bullying, whatever. And the bus driver tried to defend himself, and then she laid on to him, and then she laid on to the kids. Then she got off the bus and she did like a double FU finger to the bus driver as it drove away or whatever. And she was just like, I was awful. Like, I never should have been like that. Like, that must have been so embarrassing for you. And she's like, why do you think I was getting bullied? Do you know what I mean? You were doing crazy shit like this all the time or whatever. The mom, not once did she ever go, oh, you got it wrong, or it wasn't as bad as that, or whatever. She went, yep, you're right. I'm going to hold myself accountable. That is absolutely what I did. And I see now that I really messed that up. And I think having those conversations with your kids, no matter what ages your kids are, making sure that they know that, I mean, it's not your job to make sure that they know, but you have an opportunity to shift the way that you've raised them by helping them to see a deeper truth to an experience now. And I use our daughter as the example of when she was 6, and I really gloated her for being intellectual and whatnot, and she had been invited to go to a grade 3-4 classroom, and she was in grade 1 at the time, but her math skills were so good that they invited her into the 3-4 classroom to teach them how to do multiplication. And I joked to her about her being our retirement plan.
Yeah.
And what was it? 11 years later, she's like at the end of high school and freaking out about having to do exams and getting really good on them and stuff. And I was like, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It's just an exam. If you fail, you fail. We're going to love you regardless. And that's when she broke down and was like, I'm supposed to be your retirement plan.
Yeah.
Right? That was the impact that statement that I had on her back then had and held for her for that long. It was an opportunity for me to correct what I'd said to her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I have no problems with that, like having I'm not saying you can't go back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did say that, but I mean, you can't go back and change things, right?
No.
And nor do you want to. I mean, we did, like, everybody's doing the best they can with what they have at the time that they have it.
Yeah.
And having those conversations now about, hey, yeah, you know what, this was wrong. It's not a bad thing.
I think it's a beautiful thing.
I agree. But it is also explaining this understanding that you are just who you are at this moment.
Yep.
And we can, looking back at it, we can judge it, but it was just what it was for the time that it was.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. But I also, and this goes into me taking on that I'm going to heal this, right? Where I can see where some of my decisions when the kids were younger were not the best decisions for them. Some of the things that they had to witness were not the best things that they should have witnessed. And I can take accountability for that. And I can ask them, you know, what parts of this made you doubt yourself, or what parts of this made you feel as though you weren't lovable or weren't worthy or whatever. And I can correct that now in a way that I wasn't able to correct that back then, right?
Yep, reflecting and looking at what has and how it's changed and how it, you know, how could it be different.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it does, again, you're speaking about impact, right? You're reflecting on that impact of those decisions then.
Yeah.
And we're judging those, but those needed to happen for you to step into the healing, to be able to go back and look at it, because if not, you would be the same and it wouldn't be a problem.
Yes, or to me, first, I'm not judging it, right? When I look at things that have unfolded, I'm not doing it from a place of judgment. I'm just going, yep, I got to take accountability for that. That is absolutely what happened.
Yes.
Okay, so not judging it. Did it need to happen that way? It didn't. If I had stepped into my healing journey sooner, it would have all been different. Right? And that's where I take accountability, because I didn't step into that healing journey any sooner than what I did. I took it every step that I could at whatever time that I could.
Yep.
I could say, yep, it's all divine because this is how it all turned out. And look at, I've arrived now, which is true.
Yeah.
But also, I was always destined to arrive, which means I could have arrived back then too.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just, knowing the influence, especially that parents can have on their kids, and the way kids see themselves, the way they react to the world and whatnot, and they're just innocent beings, right?
Yeah.
And I know that we can shape-shift, oh my goodness, shape-shift their beliefs in themselves and their beliefs in the world around them. And so, to me, if they're ever, you know, wanting to have a conversation about things that they believe about themselves or the world around them or whatnot, and I can correct that, or I can apologize to them, give them compassion for what that experience has been, then I'm here for it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to deny what their experience of me and my impact was.
Yeah, and that just, it goes back to what my invitation to everyone about having just some precognitive thoughts of what your impact will be in the next conversation that you have.
Yeah.
Because 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, it could, it will impact, but how, we don't know.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
Just think about it.
Yes. So, as always, inviting you guys to leave your thoughts and comments below.
Share, like, subscribe.
Yeah.
Give us a thumbs up.
Yeah, we're also on Spotify now. So find us at The Sacred Exchange on Spotify.
Subscribe, like, play, listen over and over again while you're driving.
Yeah.
You know.
Thanks so much for joining us again, everyone, and just sending you all so much love as you step out into the world and make your own impact.
Take care, folks.